When we look at an endless horizon of sand like this, it is easy to assume that ancient Arabia was a void, a desolate landscape home only to scattered, disconnected groups of nomads. But right on the edge of the empty quarter, archaeologists found something that contradicts that image of a barren wasteland. Buried under the dunes are the ruins of Qaryat el-Faw, the ancient capital city of a state known as the Kingdom of Kindah. This wasn't a temporary camp. It was a highly organized regional power that thrived in the heart of the desert. Qaryat el-Faw was a planned urban center. It featured stone palaces several stories high and a massive fortified marketplace protected by thick walls and watchtowers. This bronze bust, found deep in the Arabian interior, shows the realistic style and craftsmanship typically associated with the workshops of Greece or Rome. To sustain a city of this size, engineers built a network of deep wells and stone channels. They drew enough water from the arid ground to irrigate lush vineyards and fruit orchards. How did a sophisticated city survive in one of the hottest, driest places on the planet? The Kindah relied on a specific strategy to turn this hostile environment into their greatest strength. The Kindah began as nomadic warriors from the south, operating as military support for a settled empire called the Himyarite Kingdom. The Himyarites wanted to expand their influence into Central Arabia, but they didn't want the logistical burden of trying to govern the constantly feuding tribes of the deep desert. They used the Kindah as their proxy. With Himyarite backing, the Kindah warriors rode north to pacify the region and unite the warring tribes under a single, centralized leadership. By providing order and security for the Southern Empire, the Kindah established the first successful nomadic monarchy in the interior of the peninsula. To understand why this city grew so wealthy, we have to look at the map of the 5th century. You had the Byzantine Empire to the west and the Persian Empire to the east, with a massive stretch of desert between them. Far to the south lay the source of the ancient world's most valuable luxury resources. Merchants had to cross the desert to get those goods to the northern empires. The Kindah routed this trade through their own territory, making Qaryat el-Faw a mandatory choke point where every caravan was taxed for protection. The economy was driven by frankincense. This resin was used in religious ceremonies across the Mediterranean and Persia, making it more valuable than gold. The Kindah used their territory to control these essential supply lines, turning themselves into the primary middlemen between the world's superpowers. The massive influx of toll wealth and international merchants transformed Qaryat el-Faw into a global hub. In the marketplace, people from very different backgrounds lived and worked together. Ancient polytheists practiced their rituals alongside Jewish and Christian communities. This concentration of money attracted artists from Egypt and the Mediterranean, who decorated the city with foreign-style frescoes and sophisticated Hellenistic furniture. Kindah became a cultural bridge, bringing the ideas and aesthetics of distant empires into the heart of the Arabian desert. In the 6th century, the kingdom faced two disasters at once, beginning with a catastrophic shift in the environment. A severe drought lasted for decades, drying up the wells and irrigation channels that the city's gardens and residents relied on to survive. While the environment failed, a rival kingdom called the Lakhmids launched a military offensive. They captured the Kindah king and executed him along with 50 members of the royal family. Without water or leadership, the residents abandoned Qaryat el-Faw. The city was eventually swallowed by the shifting desert sands and forgotten for over 1,000 years. While the Kindah successfully controlled the world's trade routes for centuries, they were ultimately vulnerable to the dual pressures of a changing climate and imperial warfare. Even after the physical city was lost, the Kindah left a lasting mark on history through an exiled prince named Imru al-Qais. After his father was murdered, the prince spent the rest of his life as a wanderer, traveling from tribe to seek allies and revenge for his fallen kingdom. He used his grief to invent a new, highly structured form of poetry called the qasida. His poems about the lost kingdom and the desert landscape became the most famous works of the era. Because the Kindah kings patronized poets from many different regions, this specific poetic structure began to bridge various tribal dialects. Over several generations, it helped create a shared, standardized form of the Arabic language that could be understood by everyone across the peninsula. The palaces of Kindah were reclaimed by the sand. but their influence remains every time classical Arabic is spoken or written today.